All right, so the only way I can start is by showing examples. I can't really teach it any other way without showing you examples. So, like I said, the only thing different is going to be this sign here. It's going to get a little trickier when we get to negatives now, though, because you're going to have to remember keep, change, and that's going to be important today. So, I don't know how you were doing it. If you were doing it like this, some of you were just taking things and doing it like that. That's fine. You can continue to do that. You might come to the point though where you need to write some things out, like I said, if there's a negative, because you have to remember to keep, change. Okay? So like for this one, you would just take 5x and then minus your 3x. And on the other side, you would take 4 minus 2. Now remember, something you have to remember is you have to make sure we know what these are too, because those can be important as well when we're writing our problems out. So 5 minus x, or 5 minus x, would be 2. And 4 minus 2 is 2. And if it's a positive 2, that's the sign that goes in the middle. Okay? So be careful what that is, ma'am. It should be 2. You're right. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so the biggest thing today is remembering that those signs. That's going to be the part that's going to teach yourself. Anybody still need this one? Okay, so here's what I mean by that. Let's just jump right in. Okay? So we have negative 4x minus 6 minus x, or minus the negative x minus 3. So I would put a 1 with that x. Okay, so this should look like this. Okay. And this will look like this. Remember your keep, change. Keep, change. This would be 4 plus 1, negative 3x. This would be negative 6 plus 3. Negative 3. Negative 3x. All right, so there is a shortcut if you want to use it, but you have to make sure you're using the shortcut correctly. You want to see it? You want to see what it looks like? Okay. So if you use the shortcut, that's great, fine with me, but you have to make sure that you're following the rules for the shortcut. Let's see, I'm going to move him a little bit so I don't have to research. Okay, so here's the shortcut. If you have negatives in there and you have the subtraction sign, this is what you can do. You can keep this whole thing and change this sign and then change every sign inside of that parentheses. So it would look like this. You're going to keep, you're going to change, and then you're going to change literally everything else in there. And that's you doing your keep, change. Then you can do, then when you just change it, you change it to an addition problem, which we did yesterday. So the only way you can use this is number 1, you have negatives involved. And number 2, it's a subtraction sign in the middle. Okay, that's the only way you can use that rule. But you have to remember, if you're going to change this, you have to change this sign to this one and to this one. You can't just do one and not the other. You have to do all of them. Okay? So it's up to you what you want to try. Another thing I showed you last year was I think we did it like this. Minus, what was it? Minus 3. Another way we did it is we said, we're going to keep the top, we're going to change this, or we're going to change everything else in that line. So we did this. That was another way if you want to see it like that. I was just writing it up and down, up and down. So you decide what you like. You decide. All right, you try it. You try it. You could use you could use it on this one if you wanted to, because there's a negative in there, and there's a subtraction sign in the middle. You can use it because there's a negative sign and there's a subtraction sign in the middle. Yes, it is subtraction sign. Yep. Yeah. Some of you might need to actually rewrite the whole thing out if you're doing them. Because to me, sometimes it gets too confusing when you've got a bunch of signs in there, you don't know what sign it is. Sometimes it's easier just to rewrite everything. This is using shortcut. McKenna had a good question. She said, do I have to change this to a subtraction sign? Yeah, you do. You have to literally change every single sign inside there. Okay? Is this what yours looked like if you did it? It's easier to look at when it's rewritten out. So sometimes you get stuff going like this. You're like, I don't know. I don't even know what sign it is anymore. So rewrite it out if you need to rewrite it. So then, what did you have for an answer? What did you get after you solved it together, Aiden?
5x plus 1.
You're right. 5x plus 1. Yeah. So you do you. If you would rather write it out, like, you can do whatever you want. If you'd rather do this so you can see it, or if you'd rather do the shortcut, it's totally up to you. All right, let's do one more. Do one more. You do it by yourself. I'm not going to say a word. All right, so to use shortcut, what does it look like then? It probably looks something like this. 1x minus 5 plus negative 2x plus 1. That's what to look after you did the shortcut. So then what did you get for an answer? What did you get, McKenna?
Negative 1x minus 4.
Minus 4. Good job. Nice job. What questions do you have for me so far? Do you feel comfortable using a shortcut? Yes? No? Maybe so? Would you need to use it for something like this? Let me change that. Would you need to use it for this? No, you wouldn't necessarily need to use it for that. Could you? Sure, you could. If you wanted to, you could use it if you wanted to. It just looks like this. Plus, negative, and then a minus 2. You could use it for that if you wanted to. But really, the only thing you technically really need to use it for is if you are have subtraction and a negative somewhere in the problem, right? Or subtraction sign in the problem. Any questions for me? Okay, so let's talk about a story problem. Okay, let's talk about a story problem because this is what a story problem is going to look like today. This is the expression 5x minus 3 represents how many bags of popcorn were sold. The expression 2x minus 1 represents how many candy bars were sold. How many more bags of popcorn were sold than candy bars? So how is this going to look? How would it look to set it up? What's it going to look like? What am I going to be subtracting? Popcorn. What do you think, Kate?
5x minus 3 minus 2x minus 1.
You're right. 2x minus 1. Yep. And you can go ahead, you can solve. Let's see. Probably going to use shortcut, so it's going to look like this. And keep that. We're going to change this. We're going to change everything else in here. And you're going to solve. Let's see. This is going to be, I feel like I had this one already before. 3x minus 2, I think, would be your answer. Now, if they say x is 2, what are you going to do? If x 2, what are you going to do?
3 times 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you're going to solve. You're correct. You're correct. Any questions for me? This is literally it again today. It's everything we did, except for what's the only new thing? Subtracting, and you might have to use keep, change. That's the only new thing. If you need to write it out, some of you are going to need to write it out. Write it out. On your paper. Don't